Imagine being given everything: power, wealth, beauty, and it's still feeling like it's not enough. Imagine walking into a room so magnificent you can't tell what's real and what's illusion. And one misstep changes everything. In this chapter of the Mahabharata, we meet jealousy that blinds, wisdom that is ignored, and a single decision that leads to the loss of, well, everything. But hidden inside the drama are timeless lessons about how we live, how we choose, and how we respond under pressure. So listen closely, because this story may reveal more about your life than you expect. Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. So take a moment to arrive. Perhaps a soft breath in and an easy breath out, or perhaps a lovely beverage of your choice to help soothe that inner spirit. Story time is a space to pause, to listen, and to gently reflect. These stories that we share, like those from the Mahabharata, aren't just tales from long ago. They're mirrors, offering us insight into how we live, choose, and grow. There's nothing you need to do here. Just breathe and listen, and allow the story to meet you exactly where you are. Notice what resonates. Notice what tickles the edge of your comfort or your agreement. So as we settle in, take a breath. And let this be a story not just of kings and kingdoms, but of the landscapes within us. First, the story, the illusions we walk on. Tension builds between the families. The news of the Pandavas' escape reached Duryodhana. My cousin survived the fire? What shall I do now? He asked Shakuni, his uncle. Invite them to Hastinapur, Shakuni said. I will destroy them once and for all. Karna, loyally pledged to Duryodhana, said, challenge them in battle. I will help you win. But wise grandfather Bhishma did not like these ideas. War is not the answer, he said. It will only end in tragedy. Duryodhana, you are just too greedy. Do the right thing. Split the kingdom in two and give half to the Pandavas. It is their birthright. Uncle Vidur and sage Drona echoed Bhishma, saying war is not the answer. Uncle Vidur summoned the Pandava brothers to Hastinapur to propose the division of the kingdom. So in a grand procession, the Pandavas set off for the palace with their new bride, Draupadi. King Drupad had provided a lavish dowry. There were elephants with gold-plated tusks, golden chariots covered with precious gems, an army of warriors on their prancing horses, countless servants carrying rosewood chests filled with diamonds and pearls, silk and fine leathers. There were cattle with cowherds to care for them. There were chairs and beds and sofas and tables and pots and pans and knives and forks and all kinds of delicious delicacies. I know you will love Draupadi more than life itself, King Drupad had said as he gave away his daughter in marriage. We will, said the Pandava brothers. Amid joyous beating of drums, their royal entourage made its way to Hastinapur. When they arrived, Dhritarashtra told Yudhishthira of the plan to divide the kingdom. So cousin to cousin, eldest to eldest. It's the right thing to do, he said. It's only fair that Duryodhana stays here since he is used to it now, and you will be the king of Pandava Pashtal. It's a huge region. You can use your rich dowry to build a palace. Everybody will be happy. In fact, Pandava Prashanta was a hostile place, barren and gloomy, and really unfit for human habitation. Arjuna worried to himself, how can I bring my lovely wife to such a desolate place? Lord Indra saw his distress and ordered the architect of heaven to build a beautiful city for his son. Make it as wonderful as heaven, he said. The city was called Indraprastha in honor of Indra, and it transformed the desolate region into a lively and beautiful place, filled with art and music and all the comforts of living, just like heaven. Yudhishthira was a good and just ruler, and his subjects prospered. As a gift for the noble young king, Krishna asked one of his demons to build an auditorium in the city center. Delighted, the demon unleashed his creative genius, and soon the auditorium attracted tourists from far and wide, including Duryodhana. He turned green with envy on seeing such opulence and beauty. The main hall was adorned with gold-plated pillars. Sunlight streamed through stained glass windows, while cool flowers-scented breezes wafted from the exquisite gardens and through the corridors. Ornate domes formed the skyline. Duryodhana came upon a section of flooring that looked like a shimmering pool of water. He gathered his robes and stepped carefully, and then realized that it was actually a floor of translucent quartz. When he came across another similarly shining floor, he walked right on, carelessly, assuming it was an illusion. But this time the shimmering really was water. He slipped and fell, drenching his royal robes. When he heard Draupadi giggle innocently at his mistake, Duryodhana was furious. He was the unfortunate kind of person who could never laugh at himself. He returned to his father enraged. "This is not what we'd planned," he complained. "My cousins are rich and famous. I have been insulted. Draupadi made a mockery of me." "I know what to do," said the wily Shakuni. "Invite them for a game of dice. I'll play on your behalf. I always win," he said with a sneering laugh. "I always win. And then, when they lose, you can banish them from the kingdom." "Yes," said Duryodhana enthusiastically. But Uncle Vidor and Grandfather Bhishma protested. "Shakuni, you are a shameless cheater. This is a dishonorable plan." Nevertheless, Dhritarashtra supported his son. "If it will make you happy," he said, and he sent an invitation to the Pandavas. The Pandava brothers, honorable and trusting in nature, didn't imagine that Shakuni would resort to foul play. Yudhishthira played dice against Shakuni. In one game, he lost his riches. In the next roll, he lost his palace. He lost his land, his city, his kingdom. He even lost his crown. He couldn't believe his bad luck. He raised his bet desperately, hoping to win back his kingdom. And rolling the dice again, he lost his brothers. He lost Draupadi. Yudhishthira had been cheated out of everything. Everything he owned and everything he loved now belonged to Duryodhana. Greedy Duryodhana was ecstatic. "Go back to the forest where you belong," he said. "Be gone for 12 years. If I find you in the 13th year, I will banish you for another 13 years. You are all my slaves and must obey." The Pandava brothers were born and raised in the forest. Survival was no problem for them, and they spent their time meditating on what to do next. Although they did not wish to fight their cousin and uncles and grandfather, they came to understand that there really was no other way. Still, this was a difficult choice, especially for the gentle warrior Arjuna. He felt it would break his heart to battle his kith and kin, even the evil Duryodhana and his cronies. Arjuna roamed the forest praying to Shiva, Lord of Destruction. He fasted, practiced the most difficult yoga positions for hours in penance. His hair matted, his face gaunt. How can I kill my own relatives? War is not the answer, but peace is not possible. How can I best follow Dharma? His mind went in circles. His heart was tormented. Shiva heard his lamentations and appeared in a hunter's attire, dressed as a demon, disguised a wild boar, and attacked Arjuna. Shiva and Arjuna both shot their arrow at the same time. "There's only one way to find out whose arrow killed the wild boar," the hunter said. "Let us see who is the better archer. Shoot me." Arjuna aimed with precision, but miraculously the hunter dodged every arrow. Arjuna was shocked. He had never before missed his mark. Then the hunter shot his arrow. In an instant, Arjuna found himself bleeding on the ground. Humbly, he called to Shiva, offering flowers and prayers. When he looked up, he was astonished to see the flowers were now on the head of the hunter. Another miracle. Arjuna recognized Shiva and bowed. Delighted with the young man's humility and offerings, Shiva, who knew that the coming war was inevitable, offered Arjuna divine weapons in return. He gave strict instructions. "This one is Pashupatarashta," he said, handing Arjuna a shining, crescent-shaped arrow. "It can destroy the entire world. You must use it only as a last resort." Then he presented a massive bow and arrow. "This is Gandiva. It will destroy demons and evil spirits." "Thank you," said Arjuna. "And now I will take you to your father, Indra. Look, his chariot is already here." Shiva pointed to a chariot drawn by 10,000 white horses racing across the sky like a shooting star. This was truly a magical day for Arjuna. In a flash, he was in heaven, meeting his father Indra, god of thunder and lightning. Indra presented him with another special weapon, giving his own strict instructions. "Use this when you need my help, and I will send thunderbolts and hail and thick clouds to darken the sky. Your enemy will be blinded by my storm." "Thank you," said Arjuna once again. So we've come now to our takeaways. This passage from the Mahabharata is rich. It's not just a dramatic story, it's a mirror for modern life. Today I'll share 5 key lessons applicable to our modern day efforts of living in alignment. We'll discuss these lessons more deeply in Coach's Chat. First, greed distorts reality. In our modern lives, greed doesn't always look like gold and kingdoms. Sometimes it looks like comparison, like scrolling and feeling not enough. In a nutshell, this lesson teaches that when we live from scarcity, even abundance feels empty. Lesson 2. Wise counsel is often ignored. We all have inner wisdom, a quiet voice that cautions, slow down, this isn't right. And those that even encourage, yes, you can do this. But how often do we override these inner lessons? In other words, wisdom is not rare. Listening is. Number 3, not everything is what it seems. In the great hall, illusion danced. Water looked like glass, glass looked like water, and Duryodhana was unable to discern the difference. How often do we misread the facts and conditions in our own lives? We make mistakes, busyness for purpose, productivity for worth, control for safety. This lesson teaches us that clarity comes not from control, but from awareness. Lesson 4, lack of discernment can be dangerous. Being a good person is not always enough. Boundaries matter, discernment matters. In other words, trust must be paired with keen awareness. We must pay attention. The lesson here is that to live in alignment, integrity must walk hand in hand with wisdom. And number 5, when there is no clear path, turn inward. In our hardest moments, there may be no perfect answer, but there can be presence, there can be practice, and there can be a return to the breath. At moments like this, it's helpful to remember the lesson offered here. When life becomes unclear, go in before moving out. Going in is the way out. So what do we carry from this ancient tale into modern living? Notice where comparison is stealing your peace. Listen for the quiet voice beneath the noise. Question what appears real and urgent or too good to be true. Hold your integrity, but also your boundaries. And when in doubt, pause, breathe, and shift your attention inward, because the real battlefield has always been within. Thank you so much for sharing us in today's practice. May you breathe deeply, move freely, labor lovingly, and live vibrantly. May you be well. Namaste.